Hello friends, I am Dr. Amol Pathak. I am the Assistant Professor in Department of Practice of Medicine at Jawaharlal Nehru Homeopathic Medical College, Parul University. Today I am going to discuss an important clinical topic from the examination of motor system. We have already prepared a few videos about the clinical examination of motor system, in which we have discussed about examination of grades of muscle weakness, then we have discussed about muscle tone, etc. Today we are going to discuss about the involuntary movements. Basically or broadly, involuntary movements can be classified into four different types. The first type of the involuntary movements is tremors. Then the second is epilepsy. The third type is involuntary movements which are limited to the face or which are limited to the facial muscles. The fourth type of involuntary movement is involuntary movements which are limited to a muscle or a group of muscle. Say for example, only the quadricep muscles can be affected or only the bicep muscle can be affected. Quadriceps is a group of muscles. Okay, so it can be limited to one single muscle or it can be limited to a group of muscles. So we will be discussing these things in detail. To begin with, we will discuss tremors. Okay. So tremors is one of the type of involuntary movement. Tremors can be classified in different types on the basis of two factors. The first one is on the basis of intensity and the second is etiological classification of tremors. So on the basis of intensity, the tremor can be classified into three subtypes like fine tremors, coarse tremors and very coarse tremors. So on the basis of intensity, there will be three types: fine tremors, coarse tremors and very coarse tremors. And on the basis of etiology, tremors can be classified into various types like heredofamilial tremor, tremor of nervousness, tremor of anxiety, tremors of alcoholism, tremors of thyrotoxicosis, tremors of Parkinsonism, tremor of liver disorders and intention tremor. Apart from these etiological factors, various other etiologies are also present like drug-induced tremors or toxin-induced tremors, etc. These are the major etiological factors for causing the tremors. So we will be discussing all these things and we will be discussing the characteristic feature of all these tremors. Let us first begin with the intensity. Okay. So on the basis of intensity, three types: fine, coarse and very coarse. So now I am going to demonstrate what is the meaning of fine tremors, coarse tremors and very coarse tremors. So fine tremors are those tremors which we can say that they are subjective. The patient can feel the tremors, the onset of the tremors, but when it comes to the examination, the examiner needs to give a special attention or the examiner needs to have a closer examination of the patient. Then these tremors, then the fine tremors will become obvious or will become visible, or it may require some special measures for the demonstration of fine tremors. Like what you have to do as an examiner, what you have to do is ask the patient to stretch his hands, outstretch his hands, keep some distance between the fingers, and you have to take a special measure like you have to keep a piece of paper on the outstretched hands and then you can see the tremors. Okay. The piece of paper will be moving. So this is a special measure for fine tremors. What is coarse tremors? Coarse tremors are those tremors which do not require any special measure, like you don't need to ask the patient to outstretch the hand and you don't need to keep the piece of paper on the outstretched hand. You can see the tremors just by your eyes, just by looking on the patient. But what is the important thing is, in case of coarse tremors, the movement of the fingers or the movement of the affected limbs will be limited to few millimeters. Okay, no special measure is required, but the movement will be limited to few millimeters. And in case of very coarse tremors, special measure is also not required. The movement is not limited to millimeter. In fact, the movement can be so severe that the entire limb can move to a distance. Okay, it is not limited to few millimeters. So that is why it is very coarse. And this tremor can be seen or can become obvious even from a larger distance. You don't need to give a close examination, or you don't need to do a close examination of the patient. So fine tremors, coarse tremors and very coarse tremors. So as soon as the patient enters into your OPD, when you are going to begin with the examination of the patient, just what you have to do is ask the patient to stretch his hands and see for the presence of the movement. So on the basis of intensity, these are three types. Now coming to the etiological classification of tremors. So etiologically, the tremors can be classified into various types. We will discuss the characteristic features of these tremors. The first and most important etiology is heredofamilial tremor. Heredofamilial tremor. As the name itself suggests, heredofamilial tremors are familial in origin, hereditary in origin. What is the characteristic feature of this tremor, heredofamilial tremor? These tremors are constant. These tremors are constant, present even at the rest. These tremors are coarse in nature. Okay, I hope you know the meaning of coarse, what I mean to say by coarse in nature. Okay. So these tremors are present at rest. These tremors are coarse in nature. These tremors are influenced by the emotion. That means if the patient becomes anxious, if the patient becomes angry, the tremors will increase. The tremors are influenced by emotion. But any voluntary activity will reduce this tremor. That means if the patient is having heredofamilial tremor, okay, and if you ask that person to pick up something or to do some activity, the tremor will stop. Okay, so the tremors will be stopped by voluntary activity but will be influenced by emotion. Okay, just pay attention to this. Later on, when we will discuss other types, these things will become more clear to you. So remember, for heredofamilial tremor, they are present at rest, influenced by emotion, coarse in nature, and they are stopped by voluntary activity. Now coming to the tremors of nervousness and anxiety. You all have suffered from these tremors of nervousness and anxiety. The tremors are situational in nature. Okay, the tremors like in heredofamilial tremor, these tremors are present constantly. They are even present at the rest. And the situation, like any voluntary activity, will reduce this tremor. But this is not the case with nervousness and anxiety. The patient do not have any tremor at rest. But these tremors are influenced by the situation. If the patient is in certain situation, like he is working in the ICU and the patient is, and if he is seeing any patient whose saturation is getting dropped or the blood pressure is getting fallen down, or if suppose the heart rate is increasing. So these tremors of anxiety or nervousness are influenced by situation. These are situational. Once the person overcomes that particular situation, the tremor stops automatically. So remember, for nervousness and anxiety tremors, they are situational. These tremors are influenced by the voluntary activity. So at that same situation, when you are examining any patient of ICU who is getting deteriorated, if you need to do certain activity, voluntary activity like intubation or giving certain intravenous injections to that patient, these tremors will increase. So voluntary activity will increase the tremors of nervousness and anxiety, whereas the voluntary activity will decrease the tremor of heredofamilial. So remember these differences. Plus, in case of tremors of nervousness and anxiety, other physiological changes will also be present. Say for example, there will be dilatation of pupils will be present, the heart rate will be increased, and there will be presence of perspiration. The perspiration will also increase. But on examination, the skin will be cold and clammy. Okay, remember these things. Tremor of nervousness, anxiety, increased increased by voluntary activity, situational, and accompanied by physiological changes. Coming to the next, tremor of alcoholism. This is the most important type, tremor of alcoholism. In this, even if the person is chronic alcoholic or even if the person is having withdrawal symptoms, the tremors will be present. So what is the characteristic tremor of or characteristic feature of tremors of alcoholism? These tremors are coercive in nature. In fact, in some patients, the tremors can be very coercive in nature. They can be appreciable from a larger distance. So in alcoholism, very coerced tremors can be seen. Even though the person is having very coerced tremors, voluntary activity do not increases these tremors. In fact, because of the tremors, the person is unable to do the voluntary activities. Try to understand the differences between two things. When the person is asked to do a simple task, say for example like walking, because of the presence of these alcoholic tremors, the person will be unable to maintain a particular gait, will be unable to maintain a particular posture, will be unable to walk, he will stagger while walking. So voluntary activity do not interfere the tremors, but these tremors interfere the voluntary activity. Okay. So this is the difference between the tremor of nervousness and tremor of alcoholism. Coming to the next etiology, thyrotoxicosis, tremors of hyperthyroidism and or thyrotoxicosis. What is the characteristic feature of this thyrotoxicosis? Again, just like tremor of nervousness and anxiety and heredofamilial tremor, the tremors of thyrotoxicosis are also fine in nature. They are fine. Okay, you need to give a special, you need to do special examination or special attention for the appreciation of these tremors of thyrotoxicosis. So they are fine in nature. They are also influenced by emotions and they are also influenced by voluntary activity. The voluntary activity will increase these tremors. But what is the difference is, in case of nervousness and anxiety, you have seen that there is presence of cold and clammy skin with increased perspiration, but in case of thyrotoxicosis, there will be presence of warm skin with perspiration. Okay, so that is the difference between tremor of nervousness and anxiety and tremor of thyrotoxicosis. Here, nervousness and anxiety, cold clammy skin will be there. In thyrotoxicosis, warm skin will be there. These tremors, that is the tremors of thyrotoxicosis, they are accompanied with lead lag. Okay, lead lag means the distance between the outer canthus is increased. The two leads is increased. When the disease becomes more severe, there will be presence of exophthalmos. The eyeballs may become protruded, may get protruded. So this is the tremors of thyrotoxicosis are associated with warm skin, lead lag, or even exophthalmos goiter. Coming to the next type, tremor of Parkinsonism. These are very interesting tremors. Tremors of Parkinsonism. Exact etiological factor is unknown. In some cases, the family history